I also wanted to talk about the man woman thing because I think, I feel bad. I don't ever want to intentionally, upset people or be rude. And I think a couple guys thought I was just, they didn't watch the video. They just saw the title and thought I was bashing men. And I was like, you guys know I love men. Some of my most favorite people in the world are men. My husband, my sons, my grandsons, my brothers. So I wasn't bashing men. I don't understand. I just didn't understand what those letters stood for. I'm old. Hey guys, how's it going? I gotta be honest, it's catching up with me. I haven't had a day off since I can't remember when. Now that I'm doing all these different jobs, yeah, it's been a while, and I was tired. I left my first job this morning, my day job, and then I stopped off and thought, well, I'll do, a little bit of Uber delivery for a while. And after an hour, it's like, I got to go home. I got to go to bed. I came home and I actually took a nap, which is something I never do unless I'm like sick. I'm just not a napper. I never have been. Even if I'm super tired, I'll power through it. But today it was like nothing. I knew nothing was going to help. I needed to have my head on the pillow for a couple hours, and it did. It made a big difference. And I'm going to go back out tonight, so I needed to do that. But I got to schedule in some time off too. I'm still trying to work this all out, all these different jobs, and it's like I got to figure in some time to rest and do some self care, right? You know, but it's addicting once you start working like this and making money. I'm always checking each thing to see how much I made, and um, I'm getting addicted to making that money because I know I'm paying off my debts. It's going to give me money to save, money to do my adventures, and I mean that re-energizes me right there. You know what I mean? But I know eventually it will take its toll. I'm 63. It's like I can't keep going like I did when I was in my 20s or 30s or even 40s. So I'm going to have to pace myself. So yeah, I'm going to make a schedule after this week because, like I said, I got to go out every night until I figure out which nights are the best. And it's going to rain tonight, and it seems like more people order, for delivery because they don't want to go out in this mess, and I don't mind. And I have noticed a few things about this though, that most of the people that order for delivery live in mobile home parks, in the senior parks. And I'm thinking a lot of these people probably don't have cars. At first I was like, why is everybody ordering delivery? Why don't they just go pick it up? They'd save a fortune. But then, me and my husband were talking about it. And like you said, there's probably a lot of older folks that don't drive anymore. And the money they're saving on car payments and maintenance and gas, they can afford, to have their groceries delivered and food delivered. And I thought, yeah, okay, that makes sense because that seems to be where most of my deliveries are. So, um, yeah, I'm just learning. I'm trying to understand what's going on, and I'm nervous because with what's going on with the economy, how many people are going to continue to order delivery? To me, I thought that was just a luxury because we did that during the lockdown. But I think for some of these people, it's a necessity. If you don't have a car, you're going to need to order, your groceries delivered and stuff. So maybe it won't impact it as much as I thought it would. We'll see. I'm just riding it out while I can, trying to make the money. And so far, it's going good. Last night was really good. I was really happy. I only worked 2 hours, and I got my first grocery shopping order because I signed up to do food delivery and shopping. And so yeah, we went to the grocery store, and it was fun. It was just a new experience. I learned how to do that real quick, and I enjoyed that. And that pays a lot. I think it was like $14 plus the tip, and I got like 8 items. So it was super easy. And then I went to Del Taco, and while I was in there, I got more orders. So I just stacked them, and then, they were all within 1 to 2 miles. So that was easy. And then I made the mistake of leaving it on while I'm driving home, and I got another order, and I was like, I'm already out. Why not? So yeah, I did really good. I'm going to start, I'll start showing you guys. I got to take snapshots each time an order comes in so I can post it and you guys can see, you know, that kind of stuff. So I will be doing that. And I'm back to work at my regular job, my day job. Spring break is over for my client. So that was nice to get back into that routine. But I wanted to address a few questions that I've received lately because I got a lot of new subscribers and not everybody wants to bother with my old videos where I explain everything. But I also wanted to talk about the man woman thing because I think, I feel bad. I don't ever want to intentionally, upset people or be rude. And I think a couple guys thought I was they didn't watch the video. They just saw the title and thought I was bashing men. And it was like, you guys know I love men. Some of my most favorite people in the world are men. My husband, my sons, my grandsons, my brothers. So I wasn't bashing men. I don't understand. I just didn't understand what those letters stood for. I'm old, cut me some slack. This is all new to me. And the funny thing was today, Jack Morgan actually had a show on it and explaining why a lot of men are going their own way, why they are choosing not to be in a relationship. He explained it so that I could totally understand it. Some of the guys that came to my channel just lashed out at me. They didn't explain it. They just called me names and told me I was stupid. And it was like, I'm just trying to understand. I'm not saying you're wrong or it's bad. I just didn't understand it. And then I had some wonderful gentlemen that actually did. They, cared enough to, let me understand or try to explain it so that I would understand. And I really appreciated that. Thank you. Because I do get it. I would probably feel the same way if I was a young guy in the world today with the way, with the Kardashians and, women divorcing men and just ruining them, taking everything they worked for. I know a guy right now that's almost 70 that's in a marriage that he's miserable, but he refuses to divorce her because she'll get half everything he's worked for. It's cheaper to keep her. That's what my dad used to say to my mom, but he was joking. They actually loved each other. But so yeah, I totally understand that aspect of it. But I'm just old fashioned and old, and I just would like to think that everybody eventually is going to find their mate and be happy, but I know that's not necessarily true in the perfect world. But things aren't like that anymore, and they're changing. Like I said, for better or worse, things are changing, and now we have women that don't even want to have a relationship. And on Jack Morgan's show, there was one lady talking. I got to learn how to do that, how to put up somebody else's video and, kind of critique it or whatever, like he does. But she was saying that women don't want to have a relationship these days because they don't need a man. They don't need a man. They can do everything a man can do. They can support themselves and they can change their oil and just all this stuff. And I thought, well, that's not the only reason you have a relationship is because you need somebody. I always thought you had a relationship because you were attracted to somebody. You had chemistry, and it had nothing to do with how much money they had or what they looked like. It just, haven't you ever had a connection with somebody and they weren't even that great looking? They had something that appealed and you wanted to spend time with them. And I just feel like that, it's just such a good part of life to be able to experience that. And some people, for different reasons, I'm finding out, some people were in relationships and got dumped on. And they're like, the heck with this. I don't ever want to go through this again. Totally get it. Totally understand that. But I feel bad at the same time because, maybe there's somebody out there that they would connect with that wouldn't treat them that way. But, now they're just gun shy. They don't even want to chance it. And then there's some people that just honestly don't care. The opposite sex. They're fine. I know several people that way. My brother, he's in his 50s. He's been married. He's he's got kids and he's single and he's got a good job. He's got lots of friends, his kids. He sees them on a regular basis. He's got his own home. Totally content. The idea of dating just sounds tiresome to him. He doesn't even want to deal with it. And yet, he's a nice looking guy. He's still young. I have my friends that ask me about him. They're interested. And he's like, yeah, no, just don't even want to deal with that anymore. I'm over it. Had it. Don't care. And the same with, I have female friends that, they're like, yeah, I've had relationships. They were fun. I'm done. I don't need it. They just, want to hang out with their friends and go camping and, live their own life. And that's okay too. So, everybody has their own journey, whatever you choose to do, as long as you're happy. It's not just, an angry, bitter thing, which is what some of these guys that came at me, obviously they were, because they were just dumping on me. I was like, did you watch my video? I didn't say anything bad. Why are you so mad at me? They just were attacking my looks, which just reinforced what I was thinking at the beginning. I thought it was just, a bunch of women haters. And then when I heard from other guys that were doing this, that were nice, I realized it's not, they're not, there's going to be different people that follow this. Not all of them are going to be the same. There's going to be some that follow it for different reasons. But my take on that, because they were like, well, listen to Jack Morgan's show. It was for today. And men and women, we're so different in relationships. And I recognize that. From what I see, and I could be wrong, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but it seems like most men want a woman that's beautiful. Just, that's the most important. They don't care if she's got a personality, a brain, money, anything. She's just got to be hot. Nothing else matters. And if they get married and she's not as hot after a few years, then they dump her and they get a younger woman. And then on the other side of the coin, there's women that only want a guy with money. They don't care what the guy looks like, how he treats them. As long as he's got money, they'll put up with just about anything. And then they marry him and they realize they really don't care for this guy, but they like his money. So they divorce him and take half his money. And that happens too. So it's a twisted world. It's a twisted world we live in, the way people think. And it's getting worse. This next generation, the way they're thinking. Like I said, back in my generation, we were raised to, fall in love. I know it sounds really old fashioned and antiquated, but you met somebody, you didn't even think about how much money he had. It never occurred to me, how much money my husband had. It was 18, 19. I was just like, we liked each other. We were attracted to each other, and we work together to, raise a family, and you become friends with them and you feel like family. I don't know how to explain it, but it's a whole different mindset, I guess, than people today. They look at it as a business venture, getting married. So less and less people are getting married and less people are having kids. So, you can't help but wonder about the future of the world, what's going to happen. Yeah, that's my biggest concern. And it's funny, like I said, listening to Jack Morgan, his show, it's funny. I don't agree with everything that he was saying. I do, like I said, I think that men are more into, you never see a really hot guy with lots of money dating a toad, but you will see a woman date a guy, you see it all the time. It's like, how did he get her? And she's, absolutely stunning, but you won't see it reversed. At least I never have. So, I always just think men it's just all about the looks to them, and they don't care about anything else. They won't date a nice woman. She could be a wonderful conversationalist. She could be kind and caring. And if she's not, a perfect 10, she gets overlooked. And I think that's why a lot of women are like, forget it. I'm not going to date. I don't look like a supermodel, and guys don't even give me the time of day, and she could be a wonderful person, great personality, have a great job. And guys just don't care. And then you see these, I've known women that were just awful, terrible personality, mean, but they were beautiful, and guys were just falling at their feet. And then when they got hurt, they just didn't understand it, you know? And it's like you could see this woman had no heart. She didn't care, but they didn't care. I don't know if they thought they were going to change her or what. And like I said, I've seen women date guys that were absolutely awful, but they would put up with the abuse for the money. And yeah, I don't want to keep rehashing that, but like I said, I could be wrong in my thinking, but I'm totally for people doing their own thing. As long as I just want people to be happy. If you're truly happy going your own way, then do it. Go your own way, have fun, enjoy your life. But if you're doing it just because you were hurt, maybe rethink it. Why, you know, maybe you could, there's a reason, are you attracted to a certain type of female? Maybe you should, like George Costanza, do things differently. Do the opposite of what you think you should do and see how that works out for you. No, I don't know. How long have I talked this time? Oh, there I go. Trying to keep it under, 10 minutes, and here I'm at 15. So I do want to talk more about what's going on with Uber. I am going to go out tonight, so I'll film another one while I'm out. But yeah, you guys let me know what you think. And like I said, you guys that are doing your own thing, that's cool. Do it. Do it. Don't come at me and tell me I got crow's feet and blah blah blah. It's like, what does that have to do with anything? I'm just trying to understand. And it's not just men, it's women. I want to understand, why women are choosing that. Well, from the few that I've talked to, I get it. I get why men want to do their own thing, and I get why women want to, and I'm for it. I'm for doing whatever you want to do. You're a grown adult, you can make your own choices. So enjoy your life, make the most of it, be happy, be kind, and I will see you in the next video.